Joseph Kramer once said, some people come in erotically gifted, and I like to say that there's a place for people who are musically talented, and there's a place for the erotically gifted as well. That was me.
When did you start discovering masturbation?
When I was probably 4. I started masturbating at a very young age, of course not knowing what I was doing, but exploring my genitals and knowing that it felt really good. For some reason I associated masturbation with God, which is very interesting, but it used to be part of my prayers before I went to bed at night, where I would pray and then masturbate, and then somewhere like around 7 I got it in my head that what I was doing was wrong, like I got shamed for it in some way, and so then I used to pray to God that I would stop when I was a certain age. So I'd say like, God, I'll stop when I'm 14, because I was totally addicted to masturbating at this very early age. And of course when I turned 14, then I was just like, okay, whatever, you know, like, I'm gonna keep doing this, God. It's part of like my celebration of my sexuality and my spirituality, because I blended the two together. I don't know where I got that from a very early age, but it was this thing of like my spirituality is connected to my orgasm in some way. So masturbation has always been a big part of my sexuality.
Why do you think there's such a strong stigma still associated with masturbation?
I think that I could go on about this for like an hour, but I think that the stigma is, it's about empowerment, really. I think that when we're empowered sexually and we're empowered to have orgasms, like we feel better and we don't take as much crap, and I mean there's just like what do we need? And I just did 101 days of pleasure where I masturbated for 101 days straight. And a lot of men wrote to me going, oh baby, like you must need a man in your life, or you must, your men must not be doing their job, something must be wrong. And it was like, no, like you don't get it. This has nothing to do with the men in my life or the sex that I'm getting with my partner. This has to do with me and my own empowerment and who I am as a sexual being. And I think that there's a lot of things that can be threatened by that, about a fully empowered sexual woman. And I think that's where some of the stigma comes from, is that we're empowered when we're masturbating and having pleasure and enjoying ourselves. I think some of the most surprising things have been how people say that my life has changed by learning about sexuality. That always surprises me, because it seems like it affects their overall lives as opposed to just their sex life, and how they relate differently to people because they are empowered sexually. That's always surprising. I'm also always surprised by how people feel like they're alone and like what they're doing is abnormal, when the truth of the matter is like, we aren't alone. You're probably very normal. Everyone, you know, has explorations of their body. Everyone tries different things sexually. So don't feel like you're a super freak because you can't have an orgasm or something's fundamentally wrong with you. It's that we just don't have education around these things and we don't talk about sex. So one of the things that I find is that women want to enjoy vaginal orgasms more. So how do I have a vaginal orgasm? And I did an experiment where I did no clitoral stimulation, because I can have a clitoral orgasm really easily. And so I'd say like techniques that combine G-spot touch. So to find your G-spot, it's inside the vagina, doing a come hither, and it's not friction over. So here's friction over. It's a anchor in and then pull and tug, combined with clitoral massage. I like to stroke the shaft of my clitoris, kind of like stroking a penis, so that you're just squeezing the shaft of the clitoris and then going up and down while you're doing this kind of come hither motion on the G-spot. To do a G-spot exploration, I advise using your hands so you can really get in touch with your body, but some women have orgasms easier with toys. So it's about exploring and finding what works best for you. I think anybody can use sex toys. Men, women, couples, like, explore. Your hands are your great asset in bed. These are sex toys right here. Find things around your house to use as sex toys, feathers, pillowcases, different fabrics, smells, fruits, amazing. And you can also purchase sex toys. So find things, explore. In my 101 days of pleasure, I was really lucky that I got sponsored by a sex toy company, so they sent me like a huge box. I had like a different sex toy to try every day. So I had anal toys and vaginal toys and vibrators and dildos and stuff to try with a partner, remote control stuff for computers, electro stem. I mean, there's so much out there that for me, it's about the exploration, and what I discovered in it is that I didn't like vibrators. And what I hear from so many women is I love vibrators, and I wasn't a vibrator girl. I love hardwood dildos, and it's like, okay, like I wouldn't have known that had I not done this exploration with a large variety of toys. And same for men. Like, men can use prostate massagers, dildos, strap-ons, you know, playing with vibrators as a massage tool, all kinds of different things. So in dealing with sexual shame, which is really my big mission, I want to help people overcome sexual shame and really empower themselves sexually. So the biggest advice I have is to journal and write down, you know, like what happened to me at an early age when that might have shamed me. Was it religion? Was it culture? Was it my parents? How can I overcome that? Maybe writing about it. I'm a big journaler, so writing about it is one piece. Another piece is like learning. I like to reframe things in biology. So sometimes it's just like I'm learning about my body, just like I know my face. I look in the mirror and I see my nose and my mouth, and that doesn't necessarily trigger me unless, of course, I'm having a body image day or I'm feeling fat in front of the mirror or something like that. But to actually look at your genitals or look at diagrams of your genitals, to know your anatomy, and then just learning the biology can help you understand that this is just another part of my body, and my sexuality is part of being human. It's part of me. It's not just something I do. It's part of who I am. And that our sexuality changes over our lifetime. So you may be, you know, in a place where you're resting sexually, or you may be in a place where you're really curious, or you're really adventurous, and then it's okay. You're not broken and there's nothing wrong with you because you have shame. We all have layers of shame. I still have layers of shame. And so it's about breathing through, knowing what triggers you, and working through that. If you love masturbation, great. If you're just learning how to masturbate, like, good for you. And if you still have shame about it, like, all these places are totally okay. And I really highly advise masturbating and doing it in a way that it becomes a practice for you that's conscious. Like, why am I doing this? Well, maybe I'm doing it to get in touch with my body, or maybe I'm doing it because I want to have better orgasms, or maybe I'm doing it to get closer to myself or my partner. But to know, you know, give it a reason, give it a purpose, and I think that that helps a lot of people. For me, I love having a ritual around my self-pleasure. Sometimes that's 5 minutes, and sometimes it's 2 hours. So never stop exploring.